Well, hi everybody, it's the Week in the Tackle podcast, the podcast where we tackle things in the world of football that we thought were interesting. I'm Tom Rennie and I'm just back from the Arsenal game. I've been at Arsenal Coventry this evening, so full-time whistle was around about 70 minutes or so ago as we record this, and well, I thought I'd give you some observations from the first night of this new Premier League season, and just how good Arsenal look. And I don't want to give any spoilers away, but Arsenal were going to win the league. They were very good. Look, let's go through one or two stories from tonight. Firstly, I think the Coventry element of it is a footnote, but it's a footnote worth noting, or as I think I'm legally obliged to call them, Frank Lampard's Coventry City. Which I guess makes sense when you're doing it internationally, but if you're doing the game in England, you haven't got to call them Frank Lampard's Coventry City. Like, if you are broadcasting in America or whatever, fair enough, like, create the hook. But if you're from England, we know about Coventry City, okay? We know the history of Coventry City. Though maybe Coventry City don't know the history of Coventry City, considering, why aren't they wearing sky blue? Why is their home kit, which they wore in this opening game of the season, Sheffield Wednesday, annoying? Like, clubs have traditional colours for home kits, always do that for us. I'm sure there's some story about this kit being, it's what they had in 83 or something, 87, I think it's got 87 on the back, but sky blue, they're the sky blues, we want to see sky blue, surely Coventry fans want to see sky blue, anyway. Two brief things on them. Number one, great to get this fixture out of the way. Great to get it out of the way, evident for them that it's a good thing for them to get this out of the way. Their season won't be defined by this in any way. Great to be part of a showpiece game like this, I'm sure. There is a line of 34 from the last 20 years they've got to get to. It's only West Ham last year with 39 that have gone down with more than that in the last 15, 20 years. So that's the target. This was never the target. And I think it's evident that the spending money. More has to come in. I think Taiwo Awoniyi, if fit, is a really smart signing, but there was a bunch of players here who were deers in the headlights at times, including Van Uyk on the far side. I've not got the pronunciation guide yet, so forgive me if that's wrong. The fullback on the right who gave away the ball for the first goal. There was just a couple of moments where they were just caught out. And I was thinking of Thomas Frank. So Thomas Frank, when he was Brentford manager, when he came up with Brentford, he was sort of asked, what's the difference? And he said, it's both boxes. It's both boxes, it's quality and it's time. And would they have got away with the mistake the fullback makes for the first goal, which breaks to Kai Havertz? I think Zolis nicks it. And after they go on to score, they might have got away with that last season. You don't get away with that in the Premier League, and you certainly don't get away with it against the Premier League champions. And start the second half too, very flat. 2-0 down, and you come outside of the second half. Odegaard scored within 3.5-4 minutes. And it took Arsenal taking their foot off the gas considerably for Coventry to start showing a bit of what they could do. And they've got some good players there. And I think there's some players that we're going to come to see regularly in the Premier League with Coventry or otherwise. De Silva looked decent at points. Thomas Asante on the far side looked quite good at points. I think Awoniyi, as I mentioned, is a smart signing. Chuana. I'm learning their names. Forgive me. Some of them look quite good, but at times, deers in the headlights. At times, didn't look ready for the Premier League. Evident more investment is needed, and Arsenal's out the way. We're sky blue in future. That's Coventry. In terms of Arsenal, a few notes. Firstly, on Kai Havertz scoring the first goal. There's a couple of times in games where Kai Havertz is not in the right position, and by that I mean where you'd expect the number 9 to be when someone's getting down the outside. There was a couple of moments where Zolis, who looked very good again, looks like Trossard but better, or Trossard but interested, whatever. He got down the left-hand side, looks up, no one's in there. There was a couple of times it was Kai Havertz down the left-hand side, and he's the man that's supposed to be in there and wasn't. But you saw with the goal, so casual. I know it's a mistake by Coventry, and they get the ball back and all that sort of stuff, but he's so casual and so good. If he could just stay fit, I think that is your 15 to 20 goal striker. As we saw back end of last season, when the moment comes, you need your players with the right attitude, the right persona, the right technique, all of it to be the man who gets the chance. The reason Arsenal made it to the Champions League final was because of the calm, cool finishing of Kai Havertz at key moments. If he stays fit and this buzzy team around him is built around him, he could score 20 goals in the Premier League this season. I think Victor Gyökeres is going to spend a lot of this campaign surfing the bench. And, I mean, is it telling? I mean, it's the first week. Don't overthink the first week. Never really judge too much of any league until you're 10 games in. Certainly not the Premier League in my experience. But the fact that we didn't see Gyökeres at all, so there was 5 subs before him, I don't know. Maybe read something into it, maybe don't. But if he was the best striker at the club, he would start games against Coventry at home. When everyone's fit, Gyökeres doesn't get the nod. I wonder about his future. Another year of bench surfing. He's not as good as Kai Havertz for me, and certainly for Mikel Arteta it would seem. And if that's the case, I wonder if he's going to start thinking, what am I doing here? Like, if he wanted to stay in England, could he have a great career at Everton? Would he want a great career at Everton? I don't know. But you take my point. So I think that was quite interesting. But Kai Havertz, really, really very good once again. I was also relatively impressed by Miles Lewis-Skelly, who is going to be the 4th choice central midfielder at the club. Look, there was some talk of him moving on during this transfer window. I don't think that is going to happen now. You've got to make a couple of sales. Homegrown players are more valuable in squad cost ratio terms. Squad cost restriction is what it should be called. But I think what we saw, like, I was not a big fan of Miles Lewis-Skelly. I would remain in the camp of not being a big fan. But he's not a left-back. He's never been a left-back because he's never been cast as a left-back. And it was frustrating to me, certainly, and I think a lot of people, that, oh, he's played a couple of games for Arsenal 2 years ago, and everyone's talking about him like he's going to be England's left-back. Like if he was playing for any other team, Everton, Villa, whatever, Bolton, Leicester, that would not have come up. But because he was playing for Arsenal, everyone was like, oh, he's going to be England's left-back for such and such a time. He's not a left-back. Nowhere near a left-back. Never been a left-back. I'm not quite sure where that comes from. When younger players come in, they're sort of buried at full-back sometimes because mistakes can be covered and you can develop your game and build experience and that sort of stuff. Like I was doing a game once, Man United Arsenal years ago, when Bukayo Saka was playing at full-back. And we didn't really know who he was. So look, it happens, right? City have done it with Rico Lewis, and they've sort of done it with Nico O'Reilly, who himself is a bit more of a midfielder. But Lewis-Skelly is a midfielder. He's a central midfielder, and there's some brilliant things that he does that he did in the Community Shield as well, where the ball sort of runs across his body, and he's got great awareness to know where players around him, the opposition are, and he's able to control the ball without touching it, and bring the ball forward, and break lines, and do really good stuff. So, showed us in the Community Shield as a central midfielder. Showed it again, I think, tonight against Coventry City. That's his best position. I would just caveat with someone's got to teach him how to tackle. Someone's got to teach him how to tackle. Should have been sent off in the Community Shield, so I think would have been suspended for this if that was the case. I think that's right. Should be, I think. But he plays tonight, and there's a couple of times where he overruns it. There's a couple of times where he's lunging into challenges. Teach the boy how to poke his toes to the ground. If you teach him how to poke his toes to the ground, I think you've got a really, really good central midfielder there. He's going to be Arsenal's 4th, maybe 5th choice in that role. Depends what you think of Mikel Merino these days, I would say. But more than good enough to be in this squad. I think it'd be a mistake if they want to win the Premier League and go deep in the Champions League and win the other cups and be all-conquering as this Arsenal team could be. And also, you got to give Declan Rice minutes off. It was interesting. Well, we'll come back to that in a second. Lewis-Skelly, very good. And I think that if they keep him, he'll get plenty of minutes this season. All those useless Champions League games, the money-grabbing 7th and 8th games against Karabat, Almaty, what have you. That's where Lewis-Skelly could thrive. And who knows? Maybe come the end of this season, he'll establish himself in that position. But I don't want to see him at left-back again. That's certainly not what he's any good at. Or he doesn't belong there. And the Declan Rice thing is interesting too. I think if Bruno Guimaraes didn't get injured, I'm led to believe it's a thigh injury. by a couple of people who would know. It was a hamstring problem at Newcastle, but sounds like some sort of thigh problem. Like, people I know had seen him at Premier League events in the last few days, and there was no whiff of this. So it's obviously a very new problem, or a problem that's developed in the last few days, like he played recently. So 6 weeks out is a problem for him. That meant Declan Rice had to start, or was chosen to start. I think maybe it might have been Bruno and Lewis Skelly in this game otherwise. And there's just, we saw this during the World Cup. We've seen it a fair amount. There is something off with Declan Rice. We know that now with the injuries to his back. There's some sort of ongoing back issue. Maybe it's a chronic problem. I don't know. But when it's sort of like the mask slips almost, right? In that when he's playing and it's heat of battle, you wouldn't know. And he's obviously pushing himself through something. The very second his number came up in the 68th minute to be replaced by Zubimendi, he sort of starts walking weird. Like, I have back problems, right? In that, I'm 40 now, and so laying on any bed for longer than 40 minutes, and I have a pain in my lower back. When I get up in the morning, if I have to lift the toilet seat up, I'm like, for a few seconds. I've got to loosen up. I'm doing, pull the leg up to your chest and moving around stuff in the mornings because I'm old and not a professional athlete. But Declan Rice is looking a bit like me trying to go for my morning piss when he's coming off the field, and that's a concern, I would say. And I hope that gets treated, and I hope there is some fix for that, because he looks very uncomfortable. And maybe I'm overreading it, but he didn't look happy physically when he stopped doing performance Declan. So that would be a potential concern. But the good news is, with Lewis Skelly and the depth of squad, maybe he won't be worked as hard this season. And his overall performance was, again, very, very good. If he can fight through it for X amount of years, X amount of games, a couple of hundred more games, before hopefully a nice move back to the Hammers to see us through getting back in the Premier League or something, then hopefully he'll find a way through that and remain healthy. But anyway, and speaking of Zubimendi, by the way, nasty read tonight. I've got a little bit on the Arsenal announcer I wanted to talk about, but I think the guy who does the come on you Gunner stuff before the game is different to the guy who does the subs. I could be wrong on that. Maybe he's just talking his normal voice as opposed to that really offensive screaming he's doing before the game. But if you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know that Noni Madueke is not my favourite player. Should never have gone to the World Cup. Is a really just like, he's a nothing player. Like, fine player, but I nicked this off our friend Paul Mortimer, the former winger, Charlton legend. There's stars, co-stars and extras in football. Bukayo Saka is a star or a really well-known co-star. Madueke is an extra. He's an extra. And the reason I bring this up, if you're listening, Mr. Tuchel, is he comes on for Saka at the same time Zubimendi is coming on for Declan Rice. And he did it the wrong way round, the announcer, and it almost felt like pointed. It wasn't, but it felt that way in that it was like, and coming on for Declan Rice is World Cup winner with Spain. It's Martin Zubimendi! And also Noni Madueke. It felt mean. It felt mean. I'm sure it wasn't intentionally mean, but it felt mean. So maybe just think that through next time. We did it later with Mikel Merino, and I think maybe the lesson was learned in that it was, welcome to the field, Abera Eza, and also World Cup winner Mikel Merino. That makes sense. Again, it wasn't on purpose, but it was a real, if it was on purpose, nasty. It did make me chuckle. So that's the story of the night for me. Arsenal were very good, but Coventry didn't really land a glove. There is hope that I think that Arsenal might look to play some football this season, which would be a nice change of pace. Look, I'm being a bit facetious in that, but I do think, I know our colleagues at SiriusXM FC don't all agree with me, but there is a privilege to being the Premier League champions. Something important to a lot of people, me very much included as someone that sells the Premier League around the world, that the Premier League champions can't play the way Arsenal did last season. Justifiable when you're chasing your first title in 22 years and you've got this bottle job reputation, all that sort of stuff. Justifiable. Now as champions, you got to try and play some football. They certainly did in the Community Shield, and they certainly did in this game against poor old Coventry, who'll be lucky to get 25 points. Odegaard looked very, very good. Lewis Skelly, I mentioned already, taking risks. Bukayo Saka, who's had the summer off, so hopefully he'll be refreshed. Did look so. Havertz scoring. Zolis looks good. All that sort of stuff. So hopefully Arsenal will play some football and play like champions. That was great. Two personal bits before we wrap it for tonight. The announcer. Stop screaming at me. Stop screaming at me. Like, I know you want to convey a sense of oomph before the game. I don't know who this guy is, right? But, like, it really felt like he was oppressively shouting at me. If you are going to shout into a microphone, I work with a microphone a lot, move away from the mic when you're shouting. So you still convey the sense that you're shouting, but you're not crushing the mic to death. Screaming at me. Come on, you Gunners, and all this sort of stuff. And fine, but like, you're using a microphone. Learn microphone technique if you're going to work with a microphone. Really just felt like, lucky enough I didn't buy tickets, right? I get media tickets, so like, But like, it was deeply unpleasant, okay? It was deeply unpleasant to be screamed at by this guy multiple times. Kai! And cringy. Havertz! Kai! Like, just, everyone can hear you. It's a microphone. Your voice is being propelled by the power of electricity. Okay? So just learn some mic technique. That's all I'm saying. Like, you do need to shout and all that sort of stuff, but it just sounded so unpleasant. And I expect better. Okay? There you go. Just annoyed me. That's the neg. The positive, programs are a bit of a dying art form, right? If you don't know what a program is, I mean, why wouldn't you? But, it's a nice little booklet for each individual game. Manager's notes, captain's notes, few pictures of the under-21s, the women's team, some notes from history, the squad list, all that sort of stuff. Not everyone does a great program. I think West Ham do a good program, by the way. Hopefully that continues in the Championship. I'll find out in a couple of weeks when I'm able to get to a game. Probably the Wolves game on September 1st, the first thing I can get to. Anyway, that's a little aside for us. If you're looking forward to West Ham Wednesdays, that's a Tuesday night. So that's going to be a glorious meltdown if we've lost 3-0 to Wolves, which we're definitely gonna. But anyway, really good program. Don't know if I'd pay for it. Again, this is the privilege of my position in that I didn't buy the program. I like to give it away to someone once I've read it. I always read it, and then I give it away to a fan who would hopefully value it more than me. But here's something I liked. There was a poster. The middle page was a poster. Brilliant. Give away posters. Even more important than the program itself, I think, is the poster in the middle. It was a picture of Zolis, the new signing. Now, you may well be like me. My bedroom when I was a child was covered in posters. And it was covered in posters of my favourite West Ham players. Ian Bishop and Tony Cottee and Steve Potts and John Moncur, Julian Diggs, Alvin Martin. And I don't know whether we got them in the West Ham programme back then, or whether we bought them separately, or whether they were part of a magazine. I don't know, right? My dad and obviously got them for me in some way. But it's really important for the indoctrination of children. It feels bad when I say it that way. But if you want them to love your club forever, you want their bedroom to be a shrine, maybe, to that club, right? So give the kids posters. So some kid tonight, probably thousands of kids, or kids of dads and mums who were there, will get given the programme as a gift. They'll open the programme up, and there will be a poster of Zolis that goes on a wall. And let's just say it happens to one kid who puts the Zolis poster up. In 20 years' time, they'll be hosting their own Week in the Tackle, soon to be a award-winning podcast. And they'll be like, I had a picture of Zolis on my wall. And next week it'll be Saka, right? Whatever. Brilliant. Absolutely loved it. A big pull-out poster of your favourite player or a player every single week that a child can put on their bedroom wall. And that's something that until you can afford to buy artwork, which is when your wife tells you we need to get artwork now and not album covers. They'll be on your walls forever, these posters. Like when I went to uni, even when I was 18, a billion lifetimes ago, one of the first things that happened at the student fair was they were giving out posters from bands and businesses and movies. And so every room you went into, I went into a lot of rooms for various reasons, but you'd have like, oh, it's that, I remember the Graham Coxon Happiness in Magazines poster that was very popular in that year. And it's like, suddenly I have this affinity with the guitarist of Blur, Graham Coxon's solo work because of a poster of what was on my wall when Freaking Out came out, right? Just little bits like that. Give the kids posters of the players to put on their wall. Like I remember being in school and used to sing hymns in school back then. Thankfully, I don't think they do it in many kind of secular schools now. I didn't go to a religious school. Whatever. We sang hymns. I don't know why now. But I had a hymn book, a book of hymns. But you were allowed to decorate your hymn book in any way you wanted. So I had a poster that I think I got from a West Ham programme, and it had Ian Bishop on it, who was my favourite player at the time, 93, 94, something like that. And I'll never forget having the face of Ian Bishop on my hymn book. I think I redid it with Steve Potts when it became worn. And just fantastic, just fantastic. Just little things like that can make such a monumental difference to someone who is going to support a team. And it was great. So well done, Arsenal, for that. And I'll be going to Fulham, Chelsea Monday, and I'm working on Hull, Man United tomorrow. So maybe by the time you've heard this, that game's going to be over. I'll let you know on Monday's show. Probably doing it after the Fulham game like this. I'll do it later, so we've got something to react to, potentially. I might do it earlier. I don't know. We'll see. I might talk to you about Fulham Chelsea on the Wednesday show. However, I'll let you know about the programme. And maybe we can start a Week in the Tackle campaign. Can I have a poster, please? Insert club here. Because it's an excellent thing to do. Okay, there you go. Right, that was the first game I've been to this season. If you're outside the UK, I'm going to be on Hull against Man United on the Premier League app and website tomorrow. Download the app, register, and you can get the game. Again, outside the UK and Ireland. If you're in the USA or Canada, you can hear me on SiriusXM FC covering the game in full. I'll be back on Monday on FC as well, covering the football show. Back 7 a.m. Eastern, 7 till 10. So make sure you are with us for that if you can. Subscribe if you can. Sign up if you can. It's a great sports pass on FC now as well. $5, you get all the sports per month, which is a fantastic offer. So feel free to dive in on that as well. Subscribe to Week in the Tackle on Apple and Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review. Watch the shows on YouTube as well. Look, I know people listen to this show and don't subscribe on YouTube. I'm doing more, okay? It would seem it's my show now. And so I'm doing more. I'm doing more posting. We're doing more shows. And we've got some great guests lined up, coming up, likely on our Friday shows, unless I've been to a game, coming up soon. This is Week in the Tackle. We'll see you next time.